right? So you guys can let me know, kind of your background, things like that, so I can tailor this a bit more towards you. Then we're going to do an introduction, basically talk a little bit about Lumi Wealth and kind of what we do. Then we'll talk about algorithmic trading as a whole. Why is it that we want to do this, right? And what are some of the results that people have gotten? Surprised, it's very impressive what some of these trading algorithms have been able to do. And then we'll talk about a few different types of trading algorithms, right? Because I think a lot of people, when it comes to algo trading, they tend to think of just really one thing, and that's price action bots using some sort of technical analysis. But there's a lot more that you can do than that. And some things are actually quite a bit more profitable than that as well. So we'll talk about the different types. And then I'll show you guys some demos, right? So I'll show you guys, today I'm showing off 4 different algorithms I'm going to show you. Kind of what they do and what the results are. And if you join our full out class, you get access to all of these algorithms, all the code, and you can use it yourself as well. All right. And then by the end, we'll talk about the course, the full course for this, right? Where you'll be able to learn really everything from A to Z algo trading. We teach you everything about how to code, teach you how to use AI tools to build algorithms, and a lot of other really cool stuff. Right, and then at the end, we'll have some questions. But again, don't feel like you have to wait until the very end for questions. Feel free to ask questions throughout. It's a lot more interesting when this presentation is interactive, right? Okay, cool. So I'm just reading some here. Okay, so we got a couple people writing this out. Let me first bring this up here. So who is on this call? This is basically the questions for you guys to answer. So if you could type this out into the chat, I saw that some of you guys already started writing. But basically, if you could type out, what is your occupation? Do you know how to program or code? And how much investment experience do you have? Right. So I could tell you for myself personally, my occupation, I'm the CEO of Lumi Wealth. I've been programming computers for a very long time, well over 20 years now. I've coded almost every language you could possibly think of. C, C++, JavaScript, Java, Python, of course, what we're doing here. So definitely a lot of background in that. And how much investment experience do you have? I believe I started somewhere around 2006. So we're getting pretty close to 20 years of investment experience as well. I also have a master's in finance, which has really helped a lot with doing this kind of stuff. But let me read what you guys wrote. So I have here Melissa, M&J, no coding or trading experience. Okay, so brand new. Thanks for letting me know, Melissa. Rick says, I have been day trading for the last 3 years consistently. No coding experience. That's very cool. Full-time trader, no coding experience, 3.5 years of trading experience. That sounds very cool, Rick. Actually, I love it when people like you join our courses, because if you're making money trading yourself personally, all you got to do is now automate that, right? So not only can you make it so that you're not going to have to sit in front of your computer all day long, right? So you'll save yourself a bunch of time, but you could potentially come up with much more profitable algorithms, because you can now focus on kind of the higher level activity of trying to find new strategies. So I bet you going through this course, Rick, you could probably make more money and spend less time doing this stuff. So definitely really cool. Welcome, Rick. Logan says it's a commercial construction estimator, no coding experience. Okay. And minimal trading experience. Okay, thanks for letting me know, Logan. That sounds very cool. Again, so this course is made very beginner friendly, right? So you do not need to have any kind of coding experience to get started. Trading experience is helpful, but not necessary either, because we'll talk a lot about how you can actually find these good trading strategies, and how you can actually figure out ways to make money doing this kind of stuff, right? Actually, I find that a lot of people go through our course, they learn quite a bit about trading, because you have to really figure out like how things are going to work with your algorithm, right? So it's a good way to learn how to trade as well, right? And so Kib says, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, by the way. Some trading experience, buy low, sell high kind, zero coding experience. Very cool, awesome. Sounds like you're talking about swing trading there, Sakib. Really cool that you have experience. And again, I think this is great. We have a lot of newer people here that don't have a ton of coding experience. And again, we make our courses very beginner friendly. So when you take our full course, you do not have to have programming experience. And actually, really good new stuff with, I don't know if you guys have heard about ChatGPT and all this new AI tools are coming out, but we've started incorporating that into our classes as well to make it very, very easy for you to do this. So you by no means have to be an expert programmer, and you don't even have to get very good at coding. You really just have to learn how to use these AI tools well. And we talk a lot about that in the class. So, it's very beginner friendly. It's very easy for you to get a lot of these things going. So thank you, Sakib. Marvis says, cloud engineer, 6 years of coding experience and 5 months of algorithmic trading. Very cool. Awesome. So I'm assuming, Marvis, that you want to come here for us to bring you to the next level, help you start making a lot more money doing this stuff. That's very cool. Welcome, Marvis. Omar says, full stack developer with minimal experience of day trading. Very cool. Again, we're very beginner friendly. We'll teach you how to go through both of these things. If you do have coding experience, I think you'll be able to really move very quickly through the course. I've seen people that have gone through courses and have had programming experience in the past, and just it's mind blowing the things that they're able to come up with. I think especially if we start using these AI tools and we go through all that stuff together in the class, I think you'll have the chance of producing some really, really, really cool algorithms. And actually, by the way, our course is made so that when you guys go through the course of, you can build your own algorithms, you can make your own money, but we're also launching a website very shortly where if you go through our course and you've made some algorithms, you can actually put your algorithms up on our website and we will pay you for them, right? So not only are you going to go through the course and learn how to do this stuff yourself and how to make money yourself, but we'll also be able to take your algorithms and make you additional money on top of that without even trading your own cash. Just because we're building a marketplace and we're asking our students to put up their algorithms on our marketplace. And they've built some really cool stuff. So I'm definitely very excited about once we launch with that. All right. Cool. And Rick writes, I've been playing with ChatGPT, writing co-eds recently, but still running into issues. I've been testing some ChatGPT and coding in the last couple of days, still running into some problems. Yeah, there's definitely tricks to using ChatGPT for sure, and we'll go over a lot of that in the class, in our full class when if you guys decide to join that. And if you're using ChatGPT to write code, you still have to know a little bit of code. It's not like you don't need to know any at all. But there are different specific ways you can interact with it to actually make it work really well, especially when you're a beginner. I could show you a couple of these testimonials of students that used it, and it's mind blowing what they've been able to build. Honestly, like people that have never coded in their lives before have built some very, very impressive bots lately. These AI tools are pretty amazing what they're able to do. Cool. Okay. So thank you guys for telling me about yourself. It's great. It seems like we have a pretty broad spectrum of experience here. We have some people that have coded for long periods of time. We have some people that are brand new to it. Again, our courses are very beginner friendly, but they're made in such a way, they are beginner friendly, but even if you do know how to code, I think you'll get a lot out of it because we go very specifically into algo trading, and we talk about a lot of really good techniques for you to use to make more money and to make sure your algorithms work out a lot better. Right? Okay, so let's go through a quick introduction here. Right? So first of all, who am I? Right? And why should you be listening to me? So my name is Robert. Like I said, I've been coding for well over 20 years. I started coding when I was like 12 years old. Not 20 years old, 12 years old. I was very, very young when I first started learning how to code. Just happened to be one of those things I really liked. Started my first software company when I was 15, made a good amount of money doing that sort of thing, enough to get me excited in business school. So I went to business school, got my master's in finance, actually at a very interesting time during the whole 2008 crash. So really taught me a lot about risk management, taught me a lot about investing. And since then, I've been investing some people's money and made quite a bit of money for the people that I've been investing for. Right, so which is why really decided to start this kind of business. We started Lumi Wealth sometime about 3 years ago, actually maybe even almost 4 years ago now, with the intention to use a software to improve people's investment returns. I used to work on Wall Street. I worked at a company called Greystone back in the day, literally worked with billionaires. And I saw the types of investments that they're able to get, and it really kind of bothered me how these billionaire types, they have access to investments that the rest of us just absolutely cannot get. That includes investing like these hedge funds that do algorithmic trading. If you wanted to invest in them right now, you couldn't, because they don't even want your money, because they're making enough money on their own. They don't even take outside capital. Or the ones that do, they usually only talk to institutions. And if you have less than like $100 million, they don't even answer the phone. So it really bothered me seeing that kind of dynamic, that rich people were able to get these investments to make them even more rich. So really, Lumi Wealth is about bringing this to the masses, right? We want to disrupt the hedge fund industry, and we want to make it in such a way that everyone has access to those types of investments, not just rich people, right? And I think the only way that we really can do that is using technology, right? We can't afford to have, investment advisors that are doing things for everybody, right? But we can make software code that does that, right? So that's the whole point of Lumi Wealth. We have courses that teach how to do this stuff. We have courses on algorithmic trading and blockchain and a bunch of things. And we're also building out a website where you'll be able to directly buy our algorithms as well, right? And like I mentioned, it's going to be a marketplace where we can buy our students' algorithms. I think it's going to be win-win for a lot of people, right? Hey, so that's myself. That's Lumi Wealth. That's what we're about, right? You can also check us out on YouTube here. We have a really good YouTube channel with lots of free stuff. I'm going to put this into the chat. But if you see us on YouTube, you'll see that we have lots and lots of videos up here. So make sure that you subscribe, right, and hit that bell button. But we have a lot of these free classes up here. So if you want to watch free classes on any of the topics that we have, options, trading as a business, we have crypto trading, we have a bunch of stuff in there. We have some strategy demos in here as well, showing off some of our strategies and how well they perform. So if you want to watch a couple of those. We have interviews that we've conducted with people in the industry. For example, I interviewed about a year ago, or maybe 2 years ago, John Ewing, who runs a $600 million hedge fund. Definitely a very interesting discussion. Cliff Frazier, who runs a $200 million real estate investment fund, and a few other people here in the crypto space and other things. So everything investment related, if you want to watch some of those interviews. We also have our testimonials here if you want to see, what past students thought about our classes, right? All of them are a little different. Some people had lots of coding experience. Some people had none, right? So, you could pick and choose, and, don't just listen to me, listen to our students. That's what we're all about, is making people happy. So hopefully you can see that through these videos that we've conducted, or the reviews that they put up. Yeah, and a bunch of other things, but there's a lot of stuff that you can go through here. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell button. All right. Okay, so it's YouTube. We also have a Discord channel. All right, for those of you that don't know what Discord is, here I'm going to share the link first of all. This is essentially Discord, right? It's basically like Slack, right? It's a chat. Be able to talk back and forth with people. We have a lot of our alumni in here, existing students and past students, right? So you can go in here and you can chat with people that have taken our courses. You can ask them what they thought. If you're interested in the space, it's a great way to get to know other people that have built this sort of stuff. I could tell you offhand, there's people that have built some pretty impressive algorithms in here. I don't know how willing they are to share all that stuff, but some of them do, and I think it's a great way to get to know people. So definitely join our community, get to know the people that have taken our classes, and learn a little bit more about the topic. I think this is a great way to do that. So I shared that link with you, and it's basically this Discord link. You just have to click on it. You might, if you've never signed up to Discord, you'll have to make an account, but this will let you into our server. All right. Cool. So it's YouTube, that's Discord. And then again, please make sure you ask questions throughout the presentation. It's much more fun when this is interactive, right? I'm going to be popping back and forth to seeing what you guys are writing. So, if you have any questions, don't leave it till the end. Let me know while we're going through it. All right. Okay, cool. All right. So moving on. So let's talk about algorithmic trading, right? What is it and why do we care, right? So algorithmic trading, I hope you know what it is, considering you're in this presentation. But to rehash it, basically, algorithmic trading is using computers to automatically analyze data about the market, right? Whether it's a stock market, Forex, crypto, we do it all. We cover the whole spectrum of different asset classes in this class. But in either case, you're analyzing data in some way, right? And usually you're placing trades automatically as well, although that is not required, right? Sometimes people choose to have algorithms that just kind of tell them what to do, and they decide whether they do it or not. Other times, or actually most of the times, people actually prefer to have the algorithm trade for them automatically. So it's kind of like set it and forget it type thing, right? Okay, so we can do this, right? We could write software to trade, right? But why would we want to do that, right? Well, there's the obvious things that, if you're a trader, you're not going to have to spend so much time in front of the computer. You're going to get a lot more freedom back, right? The trading algorithms, they can trade overnight, right? Meaning that, if you're someone who likes sleep, which is like every human being on earth, right? You're going to want to get some sleep at some point in time, but your algorithms say never sleep, right? You could be trading 24/7. You could potentially, someone, I forget who was in here, is a trader. If you're only trading while you're awake, I mean, if you could build a trading algorithm that trades also while you're sleeping and while you're eating, I mean, you could double or triple your income, right? Assuming you're able to actually make money normally, you could just expand on that, right? So a lot of advantages there. It's also a lot quicker when you're trading using algorithms. So for example, we could build an algorithm that, listens to the news, right? And if some breaking news comes out, we can trade accordingly, right? Let's say, knock on wood, but let's say Elon Musk got into a car accident. I'm willing to bet I know exactly what direction the Tesla stock is going to go. If you were using a trading algorithm, you could have something listening to that news and automatically ban that trade within seconds, right? Whereas as a human being, you might be eating something, you might be whatever, and then you still have to get your app out and trade. The algorithm can do that very quickly and very automatically for you, right? It's also able to trade multiple things at once, right? Like a human being, you're usually going to trade one strategy at a time. When you build trading algorithms, you could be trading, 10, 20, 50 different algorithms all at the same time. And you could do that to really reduce your risk and increase the amount of money that you're making. So there's a lot of real good advantages to this if you think about it theoretically, right? But let's talk about it in practice, right? So I want to talk about one company here that's pretty famous for algo trading, and that's Renaissance Technologies. This is a company run by someone named Jim Simmons, or at least founded by Jim Simmons. I don't think he runs it too much anymore. Right? There's a book on him called The Man Who Solved the Market. Very, very interesting book. Basically talks about this guy, Jim Simmons, I think back in the 80s when computers were still like a new thing. He was a math professor. He thought that he could use mathematics to trade stocks and make money off it. He was very right on that point. They started building out trading algorithms. Back then, it was much harder to build, by the way. They didn't have the tools that we have. They didn't have internet like we have. So it took them a while to kind of get this started. I think within a year or a year and a half, they were able to get this up and running and start to make money. And then basically the rest is history. This book is about that journey. And these guys made a lot of money. It talks about like at one point these guys were like buying houses and forgetting they even existed. Like one of the guys, I think he bought a $20 million house, and then the government sends him a message like, you need to maintain your lawn or something. It's like he didn't even know the house existed. He forgot that he even spent $20 million on a house. It's like absolutely ridiculous how much money these guys are making. Definitely worth a read. I strongly recommend checking out this book. I put the link inside the chat. Really cool book. So yeah, but let me answer this question first though. I see Melissa wrote, I was at Future Labs Summit in January 2017 as the CTO of an AI trading startup. If his tech could spot an overvalued asset class, he just gave me a blank, silent stare. To this day, I don't know if it was because the question was stupid or if it was the Emperor's New Clothes thing. Well, I can't say about this CTO and what his thoughts were back in 2017. But I can prove to you that there's quite a few different ways that you can use software and AI to determine whether a stock is overvalued and what kind of trading strategies to use. I'll show you a couple today. We have a lot of them, but I'm going to show you just a couple because we have limited time. But definitely, there's lots of ways to make money doing this stuff, and AI is getting quite advanced. So we could do a lot of really cool stuff with it for sure. So yeah, thank you for that comment there, Melissa. All right. Okay. So, so Man Who Made the Man Who Solved the Market. Very interesting book, right? So let's talk about kind of some of the numbers about this firm, right? So Renaissance Technologies is the company that Jim Simmons made. This company literally only uses computers to trade. No human being is pushing any buttons to place trades, right? It's all completely fully automated, right? Last time I checked, and I bet you it's actually quite a bit more than this at this point, because this is maybe 2 years ago I checked. They had $110 billion in assets that they're managing, which is a heck of a lot of money. And on that $110 billion of assets, it's reported, although I've heard that this is actually even higher, it's reported that they make 39% on average per year, right? And I think they've only lost money once in one quarter ever for like 30 years, right? Actually, it's probably even longer than 30 years now. Which is a really impressive track record. If you think about it, 2008 happened, they didn't lose money, right? Everyone in the stock market was down 55%. They were still making money during that time, which is crazy, right? And 39% is the average, right? So I heard in 2021, I think they made over 100% on their money, which is very impressive if you consider the fact that they made 100% on $100 billion. That means these guys made $100 billion in 1 year. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? 39% is the average, although, or that's what's reported. Although in a recent interview, if you listen to the interview with Jim Simmons and David Rubenstein, he actually talks about that it's actually quite a bit higher than 39%. He was saying something closer to like 60 or 70% a year that they're making. And again, which is incredibly impressive given how much money they're managing, right? They're talking about they're making 60 to 70 billion dollars a year doing this stuff. It's crazy, crazy. And if you're thinking, how am I going to compete against this giant hedge fund? Well, the truth is that it's actually easier for you to make this money than it is for the hedge fund, because every time these guys are trading, they can't make any money unless they're moving $1 billion around, right? So that significantly limits their strategies, right? But you coming in, with $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, you're not going to move markets when you trade, so you can actually potentially make even higher returns than that. And again, this is average, right? We're not talking about good years. This is on average, right? After you take into account all the losses they have as well, right? To put that into context, right, a 66% return, that's way higher than any of these investing superstars that people talk about, right? Warren Buffett, everyone says he's like the best investor of all time. He only made like 20 to 30% a year, right? We're talking about triple what Warren Buffett did, right? George Soros is another famous investor. Everyone talks about how, he broke the Bank of England and made a ton of money. I think he made $1 billion off of one trade. These guys are making like $1 billion a day. You know what I mean? And again, 20%, they're doing triple what George Soros does. Carl Icahn, this guy owns like stadiums, right? And again, he can't even match the returns of Renaissance Technologies. These guys are smoking everybody, right? And to put this into context, right? So for those of you that never studied finance and learned about compound returns, a 39% or even better, a 66% return is absolutely insane if you actually think about it in terms of compounding, right? So let's put it this way. If you put your money into the stock market, which by the way is a good investment, right? Most people will say, put your money into the stock market, right? You would get about 10% a year return, right? So it means if you put $1,000 in after 30 years because of compounding, right? So year one, you have 1,100. Year two, you're going to have $1,210, right? And then et cetera, it keeps compounding, right? After 30 years, they'll end up with about $17,000, 17.5, let's say, $17,500. Pretty good, right? I mean, for doing nothing, sitting there, right? If you were invested with Renaissance, though, at 39%, and actually we're thinking maybe even closer to 66%, according to Jim Simmons, at 39%, though, if you put in that $1,000, you're not going to end up with $17,000 after 30 years. you're going to end up with $19.5 million after 30 years. This difference in investment rates makes a huge difference. You don't make 4 times more money. You make 4 times more money every year, and it snowballs. I mean, so you end up making a significantly amount more money. So it's the difference between, retiring with, a house and, some stuff around versus retiring and, living the life of luxury and maybe, retiring like 20 years earlier. This can make a very big impact. Getting just a few more percentage points per year can really impact your finances quite a bit, right? So let me check to see. Okay, so no chats here. Okay, so obviously very impressive, right? Renaissance Technologies, these guys are amazing. I strongly recommend reading this book. But they're not the only ones, right? Like these guys use computers to trade, but so do a lot of other companies now too, right? Citadel, for example, right? It was just on Bloomberg. These guys broke a record. They made $16 billion on one trade. So they just broke a record in terms of how much money these guys are making. These guys, they have computer models. I don't know if you're aware, they're the ones that actually support Robinhood, right? So if you ever trade through Robinhood, you've actually traded with Citadel, and Citadel made money off of you. I don't know if you guys are aware, but something like 95% of all trades on the stock market are automatic. They use software. So if you're the one that's not using software to trade, if you're trading manually, you're actually at a significant disadvantage because most of the stock market is automated, right? So Citadel, these guys are killing it, making a ton of money. The guy that runs it, he's a multi-billionaire. I think it's Ken Griffin that runs it. I think he's worth something like $16 or $20 billion, right? Two Sigma is another one that does really well. These guys automate all their trades, same as Renaissance Technologies. Last I checked, they're managing $60 billion, although that's probably quite a bit higher by now. And again, the person running it, multi-billionaire, right? Bridgewater is another one. You may have heard of their CEO. He's been pretty famous lately. He's been in the news quite a bit, called Ray Dalio, is his name, the guy that runs Bridgewater. These guys manage, I think, the biggest hedge fund in the world, although that can change from year to year. But last I heard, they had the biggest hedge fund in the world, and they're managing $138 billion. These guys, if you listen to Ray Dalio, he actually talks a lot about how they use algorithms within their hedge fund to basically help them figure out what they should be doing. They have computer models that basically say, well, if inflation is here and interest rates are doing this, then you should probably buy stocks or you should buy bonds, right? They have all these different algorithms there that are helping them out with trading. And Bridgewater makes a lot of money doing this stuff, along with Ray Dalio. D.E. Shaw is another one, right? And again, Ray Dalio is another one, another billionaire, right? I think you're seeing a pattern here, right? This is a lot of the people involved in this stuff have made a lot of money. They're some of the richest people on earth. The people that have made these trading algorithms, right? Another one that's really interesting is D.E. Shaw. It's actually a very famous person that used to work here. And let me know if you know who that is, and type it into the chat if you know what famous person used to work at D.E. Shaw. But I think they started back in like the 90s, and they basically used computers to do all their trading automatically, right? They were able to use computers to figure out, what stocks they should buy, which ones are undervalued, overvalued. They had different types of trading strategies that they're using. They made a lot of money doing this stuff. Last time I checked, they managed about $50 billion in assets, although that's probably a lot higher now. And I'm just checking to see if anyone knows the famous person that worked here. And hint, he's the one that owns this website right here, Amazon.com. So in case you haven't guessed yet, it's Jeff Bezos, right? So the story goes, Jeff Bezos used to work at D.E. Shaw back in the day. If you ever read a biography about him, he worked on Wall Street first, and he worked at specifically D.E. Shaw. That's the company that he was at. And basically, he was helping them with making these algorithms and going through their data, right? So he learned a little bit about coding there, which is what basically gave him the idea for Amazon, right? When he was at D.E. Shaw, the story goes that he was looking at the internet and how quickly it was growing and seeing all these businesses come up on it, that he got inspired and said, I need to build my own business on the internet. Because of the data that he got from this trading firm because they had a lot of data and they're using computers to analyze all of it. That's how he came up with the idea for Amazon, right? And you know, the rest is history. The guy ended up being, you know, one of the richest people on earth at one point in time. So point is, you know, if you're doing this stuff, you're definitely in very good company. A lot of the people that are doing algo trading are very, very wealthy. And I don't mean just rich. I mean like richest people on earth kind of rich, including literally was the richest person on earth, Jeff Bezos, who was at DE Shaw, you know. Cool. So, so that's a little bit about algo trading, kind of the history of it, right? There's also something I want to show you here. This is Ray Dalio, again, the owner of Bridgewater Associates. His hedge fund is, last time I checked, managed about $140 billion. I think it's even higher than that now. And he put out a tweet recently that talked about algo trading that I wanted to share with you guys because I thought it was very interesting. So he posts on his Twitter, if you could follow him on Twitter and see this there. But he posts his principle of the day, you know. So one of his principles of the day was convert your principles into algorithms and have the computer make decisions alongside you, right? So this is Ray Dalio's recommendation. And he continues, he says, if you can do that, you will take the power of your decision-making to a whole other level, right? In many cases, you'll be able to test how that principle would have worked in past. He's talking about back testing here, which we show you how to do it in the class, right? Show how it would have worked in the past, or in various situations that will help you refine it. And in all cases, it will allow you to compound your understanding to a degree that would otherwise be impossible. It will also take emotion out of the equation. Algorithms work just like words in describing what you would like to have done, but they are written in a language that the computer can understand. If you don't know how to speak the language, you should either learn it or have someone close to you who can translate it for you. Your children and their peers must learn to speak this language because it will soon be as important or more important than any other language. Some big words from one of the world's richest people. He's definitely a big fan of algorithms and coding. By developing a partnership with your computer alter ego in which you teach each other and each do what you do best, you will be much more powerful if you went about your decision making alone. The computer will also be your link to great collective decision making, which is far more powerful than individual decision making, will almost certainly advance the evolution of our species. Really big words from one of the world's richest people. Clearly, you know, he believes in algorithms and trading using algorithms. I actually watched a video with him one time. I wish I saved this clip, but he was talking about basically how they do it at Bridgewater. And they basically have a computer that tells them what they should do, right? They've coded this over time. They've back tested it. They've been able to test this on past data. And basically the computer will tell them, okay, this is what I think you should do. And then they have a committee on top of that that also votes on what needs to be done. And then they actually go ahead and place the trades that way. So the computer, in their case, is not doing it automatically for them, but it is giving them a very significant leg up in their decision making, right? So again, very very strong words here from Ray Dalio talking positive about algo trading, which makes sense. I mean, given the track record, you see what the companies are doing that are involved in this. I mean, this is a very lucrative place to be, you know, to say the least. All right, so let me check if you guys wrote anything. Okay. If you guys have questions, again, feel free to write those questions out. I'm periodically checking here. All right, so let's talk about the types of trading algorithms, right? So I think most people, when they first learn about algo trading, they really just think about one thing. They think just about day trading, right? And yes, algorithms can be very good for day trading. They can be much faster than humans. They do not have the emotions that people have. I don't know, you know, there's some people here that are traders, right? You could attest to the fact that, you know, some days you just have these streaks where you just keep losing and losing, right? And sometimes people make very bad decisions like that, right? They say, you know, if you're a trader, you should make sure that you sleep well. If you didn't sleep well, if you're hungover or something like that, do not trade because you make some very bad decisions, right? So algorithms can really help a lot with that, right? So they make you less emotional. They trade 24 hours. They're much faster than a human being would be. And, you know, you could do day trading type stuff. You could do it using technical analysis, right? Or lots of if statements, basically saying, if, you know, the price does this, you know, We can talk about gaps. There's different strategies involving, gapping, right? There's different strategies involving, swing trading, or, there's all sorts of different things that you can do with technical analysis, right? So I'm blanking on some of these trend following, which I'm going to show you a trend following strategy today. There's lots of ways to make money doing that. Then there's also machine learning. You could use AI to basically do this. You could feed all this data into an AI algorithm and have it basically come up with, the types of trades that it should be doing. It's pretty amazing when you see these things work. It's like magic. It just somehow figures out how to trade automatically. It's very cool watching it in action. But that's just one thing that you could do, right? Like day trading is one type of algorithm that you can build. There's a lot of other ones though. And basically everything that a human being can do, you could pretty much put into a trading algorithm at this point. The only things that are like really you can't do with an algorithm right now are like these, deep thinking, Warren Buffett type analysis where you're going to read, you're going to meet with management and all kinds of stuff. That's still difficult to do with algorithms for now. But pretty much everything else you can do, right? So some examples are, event-based algorithms. You're going to have the bot listen to the news or listen to influencers. So let's say, for example, I don't know how you guys feel about Elon Musk, but whenever he tweets, I could tell you he moves markets, right? When he was tweeting about Dogecoin shot up something like 1,000%, right? If you had been in on that at the earlier part of that trade, you would have made a killing off of this, right? But of course, we're human, and it's very difficult to pay attention to everything that's going on in the world, right? But you could build an algorithm that basically just pays attention to, what is Elon Musk saying? Or, for example, Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, he moves markets, right? When he tweeted about Truth Social back in the day, the app that he made, I think it went up like 300% in 2 days. If you had an algorithm that was listening to Donald Trump and made that trade, you would have made 300% in 2 days. You know what I mean? That's like, it's crazy, right? So event-based algorithms are very interesting. There's a lot of different ways you can do it. Looking at different influencers, you can look at news, like I was talking about before, both good and bad news. If all of a sudden, a drug company just came up with the cure to cancer, you could be the first one to invest in that company. You could have an algorithm automatically watching for that stuff. There's a lot of really cool things you could do there. You could also build macro strategies. This is kind of like what Bridgewater and Ray Dalio build, where you're going to be looking at economic data. So, for example, when inflation comes out, it tends to move markets, right? If inflation came in hotter than expected, chances are the stock market's going down. If it came in lighter than expected, the stock market will probably shoot up a lot, right? You could do that with inflation. You could look at debt. You could look at different countries as well, not just the U.S. You could be trading in India and China and Canada, in Europe, right? You could have an algorithm that basically does that across the world and is investing constantly in this economic type data, which could be very profitable and actually very good at managing risk as well. So pretty cool strategies you can make with macro, pretty cool macro strategies you can make. There's also fundamental analysis, right? Basically like stock screeners or crypto screeners, right? So you can look, for example, have an algorithm look through every stock in the stock market and invest in stocks where their revenue has been growing very quickly lately and they have very good profit margins, right? And you could only invest in those stocks. Or you can invest in crypto. There's some really cool websites that you can get data from, for example, like Token Sniffer. You could look up like all these, they call them shit coins, right? But you can, try to find the diamonds in the rough, and you can actually make quite a bit of money off some of these things. Some of these small coins, they, move 1,000% in a week, right? So if you could get good at picking those, finding which ones those are, you could be making quite a bit of money on your algorithms, right? It'd be pretty difficult to do manually because there's just so much information to go through. But an algorithm can do this, right? You can connect to several different websites, pull all this data in, and automatically trade these things based on their fundamental analysis, right? You could also do arbitrage, right? Arbitrage is basically, there's two different kinds of arbitrage, like pure arbitrage and statistical arbitrage. So arbitrage is basically looking at mispricings between assets. So right now you can't really do that with Bitcoin anymore, but there are different coins you can do it with. And it looks like this. It's like if Bitcoin was trading on Coinbase, one exchange, for $1,000, and it was trading on another exchange for $1,100, well, then you could buy it in one spot for 1,000 and sell it to the other spot for 1,100, and you just made $100 profit, right? Now with an algorithm, you can do that 1,000 times a second. You know what I mean? Just constantly buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling, and you can make a lot of money. Arbitrage is actually like the holy grail of algorithms, because really they say that they're riskless, right? So it's like free money basically. If you could find arbitrage algorithms that work, there's a lot of really cool stuff they can do, and we discussed that a bit inside the class as well. But yeah, like I said, you can pretty much do anything that a human fund manager can do at this point. Pretty much anything that a hedge fund manager can do, you could replicate it, you could turn to an algorithm, and you could be much more systematic about it. You don't have to worry about, are they having an off day or an off month? You can back test it. You could check how your algorithm would have done in the past 10 years, so you have a lot more confidence. There's a lot of really interesting things that you can do using algorithms. And here's, this is just scratching the surface. There's a lot more types than this even. But there's, a lot of really good ways to make money using algorithms, right? Cool. All right. So, given that, let's show you some demos. All right. So before I do that, I'm going to check. Okay. So I'm going to show you 4 different algorithms, right? So this is basically how you'd be running this, right? So here we have a couple of different algorithms. We use Python code to build this stuff. If you're brand new to coding, please don't feel intimidated by this, because we will teach you, first of all, how to write the code in the first place, like how to code. But also there's a lot of really good AI tools that you can use to build this stuff these days. And we'll show you how to use those AI tools to generate a lot of this kind of stuff. So for example here, let's talk about the first one, stock leverage trend following, right? So I have an algorithm here. I can set my parameters. Basically what this one does is it invests in either SPY or UPRO. So SPY is the ticker symbol for the S&P 500. It's like buying the entire stock market, right? And then UPRO is a leveraged stock market. So it's like SPY times 3. So if the S&P 500 was up 1% today, UPRO would be up 3% today, right? So leverage. So you take on a little bit of risk, but you're also able to make a lot more money with it too, right? So what this algorithm does is it basically looks at historically how it's been doing, right? How SPY has been doing. And if the exponential moving average, right, we calculate the EMA, the exponential moving average, over the past 17 days, if we are above that, so meaning we're going up, right, we're in an upwards trend, then we buy UPRO, right? So it's a trend following strategy, right? So if we're trending upwards, we buy UPRO so that we can take advantage of leverage and make 3 times the returns, right? And then as soon as it falls below that, right, the 17-day moving average, we go back into just the regular stock market and we're not taking on more risk, right? So it's a way of getting some extra returns for, just taking on the leverage in moments when it makes sense to do it, right? So here's an example of that algorithm. You can, when I run this, I'll hit run here, right? You'll see that it's going to go ahead and it's going to run a back test for me. In this case, we are specifically looking from 2011, January 1st. I believe that's when the UPRO came out, that ticker. So which is why we're starting 2011. And we're going all the way up until now, right? Up until today. And what we're doing is we're basically simulating what would have happened, right? If we had used this algorithm since 2011, so for the past, 11 years, right? Or 12 years, I guess now. What would have happened? What would have happened over those past 12 years, right? So here you see this back test is running. The progress bar is going. I'm going to stop it though, because I already have it. So once that's done, it'll produce 2 of these things here, right? We have technology that basically can make this happen for you, right? So you'll get 2 of these charts here. One of them is going to show you exactly what it did. So we're the blue line, right? And the S&P 500 was the red line. So we can see that we beat the S&P by a pretty good amount of money. And then we can look here, we can even see what did we buy, what did we sell? We can analyze exactly what this thing was doing. So here, for example, on November 20th, 2017, it would have sold 1,553 shares of UPRO and would have bought 127 shares of SPY, right? And you can go through that day by day. You can zoom into it and see exactly what's going on here, right? What did it do during this time period and how are we performing, right? So you do that. And then we also get a tear sheet with it, which gives us all the statistics of how this thing performed, right? So this one in particular, again, where the blue line, the yellow line is S&P 500. You can see that we beat it by a pretty nice margin. Over this time period, since 2011, we would have made 400% on our money, whereas the stock market would have only made us about 300%. So we beat it by a decent amount, 2% more per year, right? And if you scroll down here, you can see kind of all the different metrics on how it did each year, how we performed versus it. You can see distribution of returns. There's a lot of stats you can get from this. So you can have a lot more confidence in this investment strategy, right? So instead of just saying, I'm going to buy this and I think I'm going to make money, well, no, instead you can back test it. You can have much higher degree of confidence in what you're doing, right? Instead of just winging it, you can now use a much more systematic approach to figure out, is this something I want to be doing or not, right? Okay, so that's one of them, right? This is that stock leverage trend following strategy. There's another one I want to show you, right? Here's the code for it, right? And again, if you take our full course, you're going to get access to all this. We have a bunch of strategies in here. This isn't all of them. I just started aggregating all of them into one folder. But you'll get access to all these different strategies in here. You'll get access to all the code. You can run it yourself. If you want to modify it, you can do that. If you want to build your own, you can do that. Or you can just use the ones that we already started with, right? So you can use any of these algorithms and do as you please, right? So now here's this crypto trend following strategy. It's very similar to the stock leverage trend following strategy, except what it does instead is it also looks at the 17-day exponential moving average. If we're above it, we're going to invest in Bitcoin. If we're below it, we're going to sell Bitcoin and we're going to sit in cash because that's usually a risky time period for crypto, right? So this really helps us avoid losses and helps us make bigger gains, right? Because we're avoiding those losses, right? So here's that strategy. I could run the back test, but I'm not going to make you wait to have that finished. Here is the result of that back test, right? So if you hadn't been investing in this, this is how you would have done. You could see blue line is us, red line. This is the Bitcoin, by the way. Bitcoin has done pretty well over the past couple of years. It's up quite a bit, but we would have been up a lot more than it. In fact, if you had started back here with $100,000 in 2019, then by today, you would have about $1.2 million if you had used the strategy. Not too shabby, right? Definitely some good returns here. And again, you could go through and see exactly when it was buying, when it was selling, right? We can do all that analysis, right? I could also show you the tear sheet, right? So here is, again, blue is our strategy. Yellow is the benchmark, in this case, Bitcoin, right? So we smoked Bitcoin. In this case, we would have, over the course of, since 2019, probably January 1st, I think, 2019. So pretty much exactly 4 years, you would have made 1,100% on your money, or about 100, almost 100% a year using this strategy. Pretty damn good, if you ask me. Again, if you put in $100,000, you would have 1.2 million by now, right? If you put in 10K, you'd have $120,000 by now, right? Or $112,000 right now. So pretty damn good returns. So really good way to make money here. And what's interesting about the strategy too is not only does it make really good returns, right? We smoked Bitcoin, right? Like it's not even a comparison. We did 3 times better than Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin did well, mind you. We did even better than that, right? But not only are we beating it in terms of returns, we're also beating it in terms of risk, right? So our max drawdown, or in other words, from the top to the bottom, was less than Bitcoin. Bitcoin recently lost 76% of its value from top to bottom. We would have only lost 63% at the worst case scenario. Still up quite a bit, but that loss would have been much less. Imagine up here, by the way, if you had sold at that peak, you would have made 3,000% on your money. You know, like that's like depending on how much you put in there, that could be your retirement. You know, yeah, our max drawdown is much lower, and also our volatility is much lower too. So max drawdown being from the top to the bottom, right? That's our max drawdown. Bitcoin was worse than ours, right? So we had less of a max drawdown, and our volatility was also lower. And the volatility is basically how much it swings up and down And you can kind of ballpark it here, right? I mean, when you're looking at it, you see the line is much more smooth on our strategy, whereas Bitcoin is kind of erratic all over the place. We're more just consistently making money. And you can see here, even in times when Bitcoin was down, we were making money, right? Bitcoin fell here, right, during this time period in 2021. Meanwhile, we're still making money on the way up, because this algorithm, what it does is every time it falls, it exits, so you don't take those losses. And when it goes back up, we participate in the gains, right? So really interesting strategy here. You know, you're making money even when other people are losing money, right? Definitely a really interesting one. All right, so that's another one. And let me check here if there's any questions. Okay, yeah. So we have a couple questions here. So Romana says, do you integrate with any specific broker? Yeah, so we pick brokers specifically that work well with algorithmic trading. Not every broker works with trading algorithms. So what I usually recommend is that if you know, you want to use this stuff, I recommend you open up a separate account just for your trading algorithm, right? Because you do not want to be trading while your algorithm is going. You don't want to be fighting it, right? You're going to confuse it, right? So usually it's best you open up an account specifically for your trading algorithm and let it run by itself like that, right? And specifically right now, we work with Interactive Brokers, we work with Alpaca, we work with Coinbase, Binance, and KuCoin, right? Those are the brokers that we work with. And we spent a lot of time picking those. Those brokers are there because A, they're easy to use, and B, they have really good trading fees, right? So we want to make sure that we're trading with a broker that is going to make us money, right? And if you have a broker that's trading is costing you a lot in fees, they're not going to make you that much money. So we want ones that work with algorithms that allow this kind of thing to happen and have low trading fees so that we can make the most amount of money. So those are the ones that we use, right? Marvis says, I'm seeing Alpaca being used in a code. And yes, in this code, I am using Alpaca. Here's that broker Alpaca. Right, this is fake money. I'm going to show you it actually trading live in a second. But yes, Alpaca is one of the brokers that we use. Right? And then another question here from Romana: are orders placed at market price for the algorithmic trading to work? No, you can place all sorts of different orders, right? You can put bracket orders, you can put OCO orders, you can put OTO orders. There's a lot of different types of things that you do depending on the algorithm that you're trading, right? Sometimes it's fine to use market orders. Other times you really should be using limit orders. Like for example, if you're trading options, do not trade with market orders. That's a very bad idea because the spreads are very high and you'll get eaten alive with fees, right? But if you're trading something like the SPY, right, the symbol I was just showing you, market orders are fine, right? Because the spreads tend to be very, very low and you can place those market orders and make some good money doing that, right? So it depends on what you're doing, right? But you can place all sorts of orders, limit orders, OCO, OTO, you know, you name it, right? Pretty much an algorithm can do it, right? Cool. Good questions, guys. Thank you. All right. Okay. So I showed you two of them there, right? So, you know, starting with one of the lesser impressive ones, and then we see one here, the BTC trend following one. This one's pretty impressive. You know, you really could make quite a bit of money trading this. You know, of course, we can't guarantee future results, but I could show you that if you were trading over the past few years, you would have made a heck of a lot of money trading this thing. Now, let me show you another one. This is a new one that we just created. Now, this one's really cool. So this is a trading bot that basically follows Congress, right? So whenever someone in the House or Senate buys a stock, they have to legally report it, right? That all goes into a database. And let me show you what that database looks like. It looks something like this. Here is insider trades, right? This is generally insider trades. We specifically narrowed it down by Congress. But here you can see, for example, insider buys that happen, right? This is, let's see here. Let's find someone who actually bought a lot. So this person right here, okay? So this guy is named Raw Capital Management. He's an insider, I guess it's a company. And they're invested in Fulcrum Therapeutics. They most recently placed a purchase for 1.9 million shares, where they before only owned 11 million. So they increased their position by 20%, or in other words, by $25 million, right? And these guys are insiders. So they probably know a heck of a lot better what's happening with this company. They know management, they know all the details, they know things that you wouldn't know, right? So which is why they legally have to report this to the SEC to say, I'm an insider and I made this purchase, right? So as you can imagine, that kind of gives you a leg up, right? If you know this insider information within a company, you're probably going to make much better decisions, right? Because you know things that other people do not, right? You could probably outtrade me in that company, right? It's the same thing with Congress, right? I don't have Congress on here, but it's the same sort of thing. Congress is passing laws, right? They literally control the economy, right? So when they buy a stock, you better believe that it's probably a good idea for you to do the same thing, right? So that's what this strategy here does, right? Is it looks at what the House of Representatives is doing, all the stocks that they placed, and specifically looks back 28 days, a rolling 28 days. So if this was, 2021, January 1st, we'd be looking back in December, seeing what happened in December. And we tally how many, what was bought and how many times by which members of Congress. And if there's at least 4 purchases for a stock, then we go ahead and we also buy it, right? So we're kind of mimicking their portfolio. And this is what would have happened if you had invested in this way over the past, I think this is 2021. So about 2 years, right? When the whole stock market fell, right? We're in a bear market right now. The whole stock market's down like 1%. We would have made 42% on our money, right? So we're really beating the stock market by quite a bit. Who cares? What bear market? I mean, you're making money even when the stock market's going down. Your Sharpe ratio is fantastic here. Not only are we making way more money than the S&P 500, but we're also, look at that, like across the whole time, there's never one point in time that we're lower than the benchmark. Across the whole time, we also didn't have as high of a max drawdown, and our volatility a little bit higher, but still compared to the amount of more money we're making, I think it's well worth that little bit of extra risk, right? So 41% on your money versus stock market being down 1%. So very interesting algorithm, right? And what I usually recommend, is people go through our courses and they look at a bunch of these different things. What we usually do, and what I do, by the way, is I have my money in several different algorithms, right? I don't just have it in one. I pick a couple of them that, look very impressive, that make, pretty good money, and I'll put a little bit into each, right? And then, even if one has a bad year, another one will have a very good year, right? So we end up making a lot of money overall, right? Some very good rates of return here if you had invested in this. Okay. All right, so that's Congress trading. Okay, I'm going to check to see if there's any more questions here. Atlas says my news feed isn't working. I can't see any video on the screen either. Anyone else having these issues? You can try closing, refreshing the page maybe, or closing the app and reopening. Right. Is anyone else having that issue, or can you guys all see and hear me? I'm going to assume the rest of you guys can see me, just because usually when you can't, people will put a bunch of stuff out. Okay, so I showed you a couple of them. Let me show you one more. You can see. Okay, perfect, great. Thank you, Alicia. It froze for me earlier. I exited and came back. Awesome, great. Thanks, Rick. Perfect. Okay, cool. So I showed you 3 of them. Let me show you one more. So here is another one called the custom ETF strategy, right? This one's pretty cool. You can make like your own ETFs, basically. We chose in this one to invest into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, right? Basically, like the 3 of the biggest coins. We can even change that up a little bit, but basically 32% to each one of them, and it really kind of functions like an ETF, where if any of these balances go out of whack, it brings it back to 32% each, right? So let's say this is just like it naturally kind of makes you buy low and sell high, right? Because let's say Bitcoin just dropped, right, and Ethereum went up. What we're going to do is we're going to buy more Bitcoin and sell our Ethereum, right? to bring it back into that 32%. So we're basically buying low, selling high the whole way through, and we're able to construct our own ETF. You can put your own symbols in here, right? And but with these three symbols, this is how you would have done, right? So pretty well, right? Over the course of this whole algorithm, you would have made 67%, right? That's not even 1 year. So the annualized is about 71% in a year, which is pretty damn good. Almost doubled your money in a year, right? Also much lower max drawdown, and also much lower or about the same volatility, right? So slightly better risk profile, but quite a bit more in terms of return, right? So pretty interesting algorithm here, the custom ETF. And basically what it does is it just buys these three assets, right? So let me show you this algorithm in action, right? So I want to show you this one because this one's like, it's easier to see what it's doing. So here we can see, and also the markets are open, right? Here we can see I have this broker. I don't own anything, right? You see my portfolio is blank. My equity is 100K, right? So I basically am starting from scratch here. And now what I can do is I can go over to this strategy here, and it's connected up to my Alpaca account. And I'm going to make sure that's turned on to live. Yes, it's on live trading. I'm going to hit run. And you'll see that when I look at my broker here, we'll wait for the bot to start. You'll see that it will automatically buy me Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin, and specifically that mix, 32% each. There you go. Boom. Right? You saw I didn't click on anything. The bot automatically did that for me and bought these three positions for me. Right? And now what it's going to do is it's going to constantly monitor this. Right? I can leave this thing running, and it'll constantly monitor and check. You know, are we out of whack? Should we buy more Bitcoin? Should we buy more Ethereum? It's going to constantly be monitoring that and making sure that we keep it at that 32%, right? So we can watch it. We'll see how it goes. We see that we paid some trading fees at first, but we'll watch the crypto market, and we'll probably hopefully make some money even by the end of this video. We could watch this thing. But yeah, pretty much those are the 4 strategies I want to show you today. We have a lot more. Like I said, we have this whole folder here and much more that we're adding in. We have strategies for Forex, we have strategies for futures, we have option strategies, we have crypto strategies, we have stock strategies. And I think each one of these have their own advantages. And if you could invest in 3 or 4 different algorithms, each one of them that you think can make you 100% a year, I mean, between all of them, you could reduce your risk and you could really make quite a bit of money. Again, if you're making like 100% a year, you could get very, very rich very, very quickly. Not to mention if you build your own algorithms and you put them up on our platform, and we'll even pay you for your algorithms too, just because these things can be super, super lucrative, right? So yeah, so that's a demo. I'll read off some of your questions here. So Marvis says, will these bots be running on the cloud since these algorithms will need to be computing 24/7? Yeah, you can run them in the cloud if you want, right? I'll teach you how to do that if you want to do it yourself. We also have, like I said, a website that can do that for you too. So if you want, we can actually put them in the cloud for you, so you don't really have to even worry about any of this stuff. You just give us the code, we automatically do it for you, and we can run in the cloud for you. Super no hassle type thing for us to do that. You just pay us for the server costs. Or you could do it yourself, right? And we could teach you how to do that as well in the class. Basically, you'd create a server on AWS or on Google Cloud, and you could run your code in there, right? Or actually, there's even easier ones that you can use than those, right? So absolutely, you could run your computer or you could run the cloud. I personally run mine in the cloud, right? Because I have a laptop, I travel around a lot. It doesn't make sense for me to constantly leave my laptop open. And what if power goes out, what if the internet goes out, right? It's a lot more dependable and a lot easier to manage in the cloud. So we can do that for you, or we can even show you how to do that yourself, right? Cool. All right. So that's a demo, right? So let's talk about the full course here, right? So what you saw today, this is a nice little introduction to algorithmic trading. Hopefully you guys learned some good stuff from this. If you want to continue learning, we have a whole class on this. This is a 12-week long class, and I'll share the link here, where we'll basically take you from, even if you don't know how to code, right? We'll take you all the way to being able to build a bot and build some pretty cool stuff Like I said, I've seen our students build some pretty amazing bots, which is why we're telling them, put them up on our website. Because wow, if you could see some of them that they've built. But yeah, here's the full course. So I shared a link with you in the chat. Let's talk about this full course if you want to continue on with your learning. All right. So here, let this load up. This is our algorithmic trading course, right? Basically, we're going to teach you from the very beginning. Even if you don't know how to code, we're going to show you how to build an algorithm. If you do know how to code, it's not a class that's going to go slow pace. So please don't think that. We very much specifically focus on a lot of algo building stuff. So even if you are an expert coder, I think you'll still get a lot out of the class as well. In fact, a lot of people that do know how to code, within like weeks, they're building some some really amazing stuff. I could tell you, one of our students, I was speaking to the other day, and he was saying he was making like 400 or 500% a year in one of his algorithms. And this is a guy that knew how to code, went to our classes, and basically learned how to take it to the next level. Right? I think there's a review with him in our YouTube channel if you want to watch it. But here's the page on algorithmic trading. Right? So you can go through everything here, learning outcomes. But I want to direct you to a curriculum. Right? So this is basically a 12-week long course. We divide it up into 3 parts. Part 1 is the fundamentals, right? So week 1, we're going to show you how to install the stuff on your computer, get everything set up. And then we're also going to have introductions between everyone, right? So everyone gets to know each other in the class. A lot of people actually end up collaborating together in the class. Some people, maybe are better at coding. Some people may be better at trading. And a lot of times people will collaborate to work together on things, right? So you get introductions. It's a very it's kind of like being in a class, like real life, right? Except we're doing this over Zoom, right? So yes, that's week 1. Week 2, we're going to do a quick Python refresher, right? So for those of you that do know how to code, this will be a review of Python. For those of you that don't know how to code, you're going to learn basically all the important parts of Python in a day, right? So we're going to go through it pretty quickly. And you don't need to know, like I said, you don't need to be the best Python developer in the world, right? Because there's a lot of AI tools that can help you with that now. But we will teach you kind of the basics and all the stuff that you need to know whenever you're building an algorithm, which is not all of Python. It's like a much more specific subset, right? So we'll cover that in week 2. Week 3, we're going to teach you about pandas, which is basically a library, which is kind of like an app. You can think about it like that allows you to analyze large amounts of data. It's kind of like Excel, but on steroids, right? You're able to do a lot of really cool stuff with data, download it, analyze it, transform it, all this kind of stuff. We'll talk about pandas in week 3, and then we'll continue on with our discussion of pandas in week 4 as well. And we'll specifically teach you how to apply this to the world of finance, right? So how do you download financial data? How do you analyze it? How do you come up with, going from raw data to actually something that makes you money? Right? We're going to start covering that in week 4, right? So that's part 1. Part 2 is going to be basically we jump right into bot building, right? So by week 5, and definitely by week 6, you will have a working bot on your computer trading for you, right? We'll get everything set up. Week 5, we'll connect you to the broker. We'll make sure you place your first trades, and everything will start to feel really, really cool in week 5. You'll see all this like really cool stuff happening. It's actually very fun when you watch bots trade. It's kind of like a little bit of magic, So we'll get all that set up for you on week 5. Week 6, we're going to talk about market mechanics. How do markets work? What are the different order types? What should you be paying attention to when you're trading algorithms? What are the different ways that you can profit from things? And then what we also do, and we do this in week 6, 7, and 8. What we will do is basically you guys will have a chance to say, I want to have this kind of algorithm built, and I'm going to build it on the fly in the class. So you'll be able to watch me basically how to build this algorithm, right? So you'll get a good sense of, what is involved in building it. You can watch me do this, right? And then on top of that, if you have a specific strategy in mind, we can actually get started, depending on how complicated it is, right? We could either get started or we can even build that algorithm within this class itself, So really cool stuff happening in week 6. Week 7 is more of that as well. We'll also talk about how to get economic data, how to download stuff from Yahoo Finance, and we'll really show you how to bring all those things together, right? And again, we'll build another algorithm on the fly, so you'll see how all this stuff works. And by the way, we save all those algorithms that we build within class. So you get the benefit of accessing all of our code. So you get to see all those algorithms and use all of them, So week 7, we do that. Week 8, we're going to talk about how we calculate returns. We're going to talk about standard deviation, max drawdown, Sharpe ratios, all that kind of stuff that you need to know whenever you're building algorithms or you're running an investment fund. All right, we'll talk about back testing as well, and we'll show you how to use the back testing engine in different ways. And then we'll also, again, build another strategy live, right? So you guys will get a lot of practice with this, and you'll see a lot of these algorithms being built, right? Throughout part 2 as well, you're going to get a chance to present, right? So everyone will have a chance to present within class. And when you do present, you can present basically what algorithms you're interested in or what you're trying to do, and you can get feedback directly from the class and see, how we can help you accomplish that, right? You also get a chance to see other people's presentations. So there's a really good sharing of knowledge that happens there, right? In part 3, the presentations continue. And then in week 9, we cover a debt trading strategy. This one's pretty interesting. It would have been good to show you that too. That's another strategy that makes some pretty good money. But basically, it's a case study. We will go from, just downloading raw data, and then what are all the steps that you take, that you go through to say, okay, well, how can I use this to make money, right? And we'll do a step-by-step guide on how to do that sort of thing, specifically using economic data. All right, and by the end of it, we have a really nice algorithm that you can use that has some pretty impressive results when you back test it as well. All right, and then week 10, we're going to take you through more strategy examples. There's quite a few for us to go through, including the ones that we just covered today. We're going to show you how to use all of these. You're going to get access to all of this code, and you'll be able to see either you could run it yourself, just copy it, right? Or you'll learn how to modify it and maybe even make it better, right? So we'll cover all those examples in week 10 and week 11. There's lots and lots of examples we go through. To name a couple, we have a Discord trading bot that can read Discord messages and trade off it. So if you're following some sort of influencer, you can trade like them. We have a Reddit trading bot that basically reads Reddit and can trade based off of sentiment and news, right? We have all the bots that I showed you today, trend following ones, mean reversion bots. We're going to cover quite a few different bots, and you'll see what are the pluses and minuses of each one. What are times when you want to use one over the other, and you'll get to see which ones are the most profitable and how would you go about using that, right? That's going to be week 10, week 11, and then week 12 is a special class. You are going to get a chance to learn a little bit about machine learning, which is essentially like artificial intelligence, right? And you'll learn how to use AI within your bots, which can make them quite a bit smarter and can make you potentially a lot of money doing this stuff. So it's a nice intro into machine learning. We have an entire class on machine learning as well, if you want to get deep into the subject, but you'll get a nice intro through this class as well, right? And what we don't have on here, and something that we started doing recently, is we also have guest lectures of people that come in. So this is actually going to be a 13-week class. You guys get a bonus, right? It's something we started doing recently. And you'll get a chance to meet one of our instructors, which is Guy. He's someone who's been an investment advisor for like 30 or 40 years. He's managing, $50-60 million. So you get a chance to learn from him about his different types of strategies that he uses and how, to do different types of risk management and all that kind of stuff. He's going to walk you through a very interesting class. He also, by the way, teaches our market mastery class. So if you want to see his class, it's called Market Mastery. He's the one that's going to be giving a guest lecture in our class as well, right? So you get more bang for your buck there. You get 13 weeks, right? Okay, let me hop back here to see if you have any questions. Okay, nothing yet. Cool. Okay, let me check. Okay, cool. So those are the different, that's what the curriculum looks like, right? So let's talk about if you want to actually join in on this class, how could you go about doing that, right? So there's 3 different plans that you can take, right? So there's our self-directed plan, our live classes plan, and our project help and tutoring plan. They all build on each other, right? So the most basic is self-directed, then live classes has everything a self-directed has, plus more. And then project help has everything live classes has plus more, right? But basically, a self-directed plan will give you access to video recordings of all the lectures and access to the code, all the code that we do, and access to our community. There's a private part of our community where we have weekly phone calls. There's a bunch of other things that we do. You're going to get access to all that. Plus, you're going to get access to support, right? So if you need any help with anything, we can jump on a call. I'm the one that teaches this class. So if you need help, we can get on a call. And, usually things, it's funny when people start learning this stuff, it's like something that, might take you an hour or 2 or 3 or 4 to figure out. If we got on a call, or if you send me a message on Discord, it's usually something that can be done in 5 minutes. So really can accelerate your learning quite a bit that way as well, right? That's our self-directed plan. Basically, you get the videos, you get the code, you get access to community, and you get some support, right? Live classes basically builds on that, right? So you get everything that is inside the self-directed plan. And on top of that, you get to be part of our live classes, right? So this is definitely one of our most popular plans that people get. And it's really cool because it's much more like a class atmosphere, right? Like you're going to be part of a Zoom conversation, kind of like what we're doing now, except you're going to be on Zoom and you'll be able to turn on your audio, turn on your video. You could share your screen if you're stuck somewhere, right? And when we're going through this whole class, you can ask questions throughout. Hey, I don't get this, or can you explain that a little better? Or maybe, something's not working on your computer, right? We could share screens and make sure that it works for you. So it's very hands-on, right? And it's the live class, right? So you really can get a lot out of this class. So instead of you sitting there watching videos, you're going to get a chance to really be interacting with everything as well, right? So live classes, like I said, one of our most popular plans. Actually, our most popular plan recently, for some reason, people are really interested in this lately, is our project help and tutoring plan, right? Which basically builds on all that, right? So you're going to get everything from self-directed and everything from live classes, which means you're going to be able to join our live classes, right? You can retake our live classes as many times as you want, by the way. So let's say the next one starts in February. Let's say you're going through the class and something happens. Maybe you got promoted. A lot of people tend to get new jobs when going through this class. Makes sense, learning a valuable skill. So let's say you got a promotion throughout and you have to get ready for this new job. Well, then you can pause that class and you could start up again in the summertime. You could retake it as many times as you want, right? And actually, every time we run this class, there's new material in here. We get newer strategies, we get better technology. So you're going to be able to retake it, even in 3 years from now, if you want to retake it, see what new things we've been up to, you'll be able to join that live class, right? But yeah, so the project help plan, as I was saying, includes everything from self-directed and live classes. So meaning you get access to our video library, right? All the recordings that we ever made for our classes. You get access to all of our code, right? So you get to get access to all of these algorithms and everything directly there. You get access to our community, right? So, you'll get help from our community. You'll get access to a lot of support. We give you, each one of these has more support going through it. There's a specific amount of hours tied to it. Project help tutoring is almost unlimited. You'll get a lot of support with it. And what's really good about the project help tutoring plan is that if you need help building an algorithm, we can actually get our software engineers to build this for you, right? So not only are you going to get the videos, you're going to get the community, you're going to get the code, you're going to be part of the live classes as well. And on top of that, you're going to get assigned your own personal computer programmer that could actually help you build a lot of this stuff, right? So if you want them to build the whole thing for you outright, we can do that. If you want them to help along the way, we can do that. But in either case, you get a lot of help with this project help tutoring plan, and including us actually writing code for you, right? So those are the 3 plans. As I said, they build on each other as they go. Here's the pricing for those plans. So if you want to sign up to our algo trading or self-directed class, that class goes for $19.95, right? And there's 3 and 5 month payment plans available, right? So you don't have to pay the upfront. You could have a payment plan, no nothing there. And again, this thing, you get lifetime access to our video library, you get a lifetime access to our code, you get access to our community, you get support through a community from the instructor, which is myself. We'll also get on some limited amount of calls if you need help with that. And you get access to our weekly discussion hour as well, which is a very cool way to see what else everyone else is doing, and potentially get some really good ideas for strategies. Then there's our live class, which is again builds on top of that. So it has everything from self-directed plan, plus you get the 12 weeks of live classes, actually 13 weeks. You guys are getting that bonus. That's about 2 hours per week in the live class. You get 6 hours of dedicated live Q&A. So if we need to jump on a call, we can do that for up to 6 hours. There's lots of time for all the different kind of issues you might have. You get access to all the future videos and codes. So anything that gets released in the future, you get access to that too. And again, you could join new classes if you want, right? So if something happens and you need to retake the class, you can do that. You get help with 2 personal projects. You'll get to know your other classmates as well. It's very social, right? And if you need it, we can also help you with your resume, and we can do an interview prep for you as well, right? Cool. So that's our live class. Then if you want, if you want to go all the way and you want a lot of help with all of what you're doing and you want, some coders involved and all that kind of stuff, well, then this plan is for you, the Project Help Tutoring Plan. It includes everything from self-directed and live, right? And then it also includes the live classes that are coming up, and you get help building a custom project. So we will get you software engineers to actually help build this for you if that's what you need. And we'll also give you 10 hours of one-on-one video or phone sessions. So you get lots and lots of dedicated help with what you're doing. We will actually go out of our way and actually build these things for you if you need that, right? So that's our Project Help Tutoring Plan. This one's $63.95. And again, all 3 of these have 3 and 5 month payment plans, right? So let's say you wanted to purchase this. If I clicked on this here, let's say I add this to cart, right? I can go ahead and see that this gets added to my cart. Here's the class. If you have a coupon code, you can enter in here, right? And then you can proceed to checkout, and you can basically go through everything that way. This is the way that you would do that. And there's a payment plan here if you need to use the payment plan, and then you can put in your payment details, right? Okay, cool. So, so those are different plans and their pricing. Let me see if there's any questions here. So no questions, okay. Cool. So those are different plans, right? If you need to book a call with someone, you could do that here. Sometimes you might want to talk to someone before I make a purchase, so feel free to do that. We also have a guarantee, by the way. And I've never seen this happen, which is why it's very easy for me to make this guarantee. You guaranteed you will have a bot by the end of this class, or not only am I going to give you your money back, but I'll give you an extra $600 just for your time, right? And I'm very confident in this because I've literally never seen this happen, right? Like assuming you actually show up to class, right? Like this doesn't count if you like never show up to class, and of course you're not going to do anything. But assuming you're showing up to class and you're actually putting in some effort, right? I guarantee you that you will have bots running on your computer. And probably not even by week 12. You'll probably have a bot running by week 5 on your computer, and you can get started then, right? So guaranteed that you will have this bot running, right? I can't guarantee you that you'll make money, but I'm willing to bet that you'll make some good money though. Cool. Okay, so live classes, right? So we do have an upcoming live class. The next one that's starting is in February, right? The class starts on February 23rd. Registration closes on the 16th of February, so you have about 3 weeks before registration closes. The class is going to be 12 weeks long, excluding holiday breaks. Effort, we suggest 8 to 12 hours per week, but it really depends on you. Some people work faster or less than that, more or less. We kind of can accommodate to that. And the class is going to be every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern or 5 p.m. Pacific. So basically after work on Thursday, you'll be able to join this class and get some help with building out bots and hopefully make you some good amount of money, right? So class starts on February 23rd, registration closes on 16th. And by the way, if you purchase this class now, right, you get access to all the videos and code now. So you can even get a head start on everyone else in the class if that's what you'd like, right? So you don't have to wait until last minute. If you want to get a head start, as soon as you hit this purchase button, you're going to get access to all the videos and you'll be able to get started right away, right? Cool. So that's February. It's that class. As I mentioned, we help you out with course projects. The 2 projects I help with is first one is going to be analyzing investment strategies and helping you find a good investment strategy. And the other project is going to be helping you build an actual live trading bot, right? If you want to read up a little bit about me, you can do so here. I don't have the LinkedIn link on here. We should put that on there, but you could also search me on LinkedIn and kind of see my background. Again, I have a master's in finance. I've been coding for 20 plus years. I've worked on Wall Street. Actually, the last company I worked at before this was a company called Voyager, which you may have heard of. Was used to be a crypto trading app. Although it blew up, still made me a good amount of money from the shares because I was, I think, employee number 4 there. I really started this thing from scratch. Basically, we took that company that was really just 4 people in a WeWork. We were able to take it from that all the way to at one point in time it was worth $3 billion on the stock market. So it was pretty damn cool building that. But yeah, that's kind of my background. I've been coding for a while. I'm very enthusiastic about the stock market and been managing money for people for quite some time and made some people quite rich. And planning to do this now more at a mass scale, right? Is what we're working on. If you want to read or watch some of our testimonials, you could do so here. They're at the bottom. There's a couple here, right? A game. He didn't know how to code when he came to us. He's now running a business, doing this thing. I think he's making a couple $1,000s a month now, running his business online, which is pretty damn cool, with stuff that he learned from our class. Renee also built some pretty cool stuff. You could read or watch what he wrote, what he did there. Santayan, last I heard, this guy's making a lot of money. His algorithm, what he was saying to me, was making like 400 or 500% a year. It's pretty damn impressive. There's a few more testimonials down here, but if you want to watch more of them, you can also go to more testimonials where we have lots of testimonials in here, or you could also go to our YouTube channel where we have lots of them in there, right? So again, don't take my word for it, right? We work on having happy students, and this is kind of the proof of the pudding, right? So if you want to listen to them and hear it from their own mouth, what they thought about the class, you can do so here, right? And I'm willing to bet if you look through our testimonials, you'll probably find someone that kind of fits the type of person that you are and the experience that you're coming in with. Because we've had people that have never traded before. We've had people that have never coded before. We've had people that are like expert coders, right? So you can kind of see everyone's perspective on this. And I'm sure you can find someone that was similar to you when they started, right? Cool. Okay, and I think that's pretty much it around this this class here, right? If you want to book a call, you can do so, right? But I'll pass the baton back to you guys, and let me know if you have any questions or anything that we covered. I feel like you guys have been pretty good throughout the class. You've been asking questions throughout, but now's your chance. You have my full attention if you have any other questions around anything that we covered, right? So I'm going to give you guys some time to type that out. But I hope you enjoyed the class today. I hope you learned some cool stuff here. If there's anything that you take away from today's class is just how much money these people are making doing algo trading. It's kind of like an unfair advantage in trading the stock market. Because you have a computer trading for you. You can be like a superhuman, right? Do things that normal people cannot do, speed wise and staying up all hours of the night and all that kind of stuff. And then also you could be a lot more confident in the investment decisions that you make because you can back test and you can see, how would your strategy have done in the past, right? So you can really get a chance to really, hit home runs going forward and really make some good amount of money. All right, so some comments coming in here. Brian says, this class is dynamite. I loved it. Awesome. Thank you, Brian. I really appreciate it. Hopefully I get a chance to see you in our longer class as well. You're pretty cool. Melissa asks, feeling all right about macro trends these days. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that, Melissa. I'm assuming you mean, what I think maybe that's a way of asking, like, what do I think is going to happen with the stock market going forward? Maybe that's the question here. And I'll answer that in 2 ways. Personally, I think, the stock market's probably I think we've hit our bottom. And I think we're going to see a really nice bull market this year. And I say that because we're at the end of like raising interest rates and inflation has come down a lot. That's my thoughts, but no one can predict this perfectly, right? So what I'll say is I'll answer that with a second answer to a different question, but related, is who cares where the market's going? We can have a lot of these strategies that will make you money, whether the market's up, down, sideways. I don't really care. A lot of these algorithms will make you money regardless, right? Like for example, this Congress trading strategy, the market was down, we're still making money. You know what I mean? What else is there here? Like this, a bunch of our strategies here, even when the market's down, we're still making good money. So I'm not too concerned about that. I want to show you guys, we're working on a new Forex trading strategy. I'm working with a partner to build this thing out. But this guy, for example, his Forex trading algorithm, makes 7, 8, 9% a month. So over 100% a year. And, it doesn't matter where the market's going. Whether stock market's falling, you're still making your 8%, right? So the trick is to really get these algorithms that will make you money regardless of what's happening, right? Maybe you'll invest in one algorithm that when the market goes up, you really make a lot of money. That's cool, right? That's something like this UPRO strategy, right? Like this one here, you see when the market went up, like we made a heck of a lot of money, right? Over the course of 2020, right? So let's say something like a year and a half. In this algorithm, if you look at it from the bottom, around 100% all the way up to 500%. So you made like 5 times your money in like a year, right? So that's a good algorithm to be in when the stock market's going up, right? But then there's other ones that, even when the market's down, you're making money too. So it's a good idea to put your money into a bunch of these different algorithms and to diversify so that who cares where the market's going, right? You're making money regardless, right? That's the holy grail. That's what we're trying to do here, right? Logan says, thank you for taking a few minutes with us tonight, Robert. Thank you for being here, Logan. I appreciate that. Thank you. Melissa says, my man has 0 math skills, German major. Could he benefit from this? Thanks for the market answer. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you don't have to be a math whiz to do this stuff, right? In fact, you don't even have to really be you don't even have to get good at coding. We give you a lot of these things, right? Right off the bat. So you'll be able to use a lot of our algorithms without even thinking, you just use them, right? Or you can modify them or whatever, right? And as I mentioned, there's a lot of these new AI tools as well that are out. We're going to show you how to use GitHub Copilot to generate code. We're going to show you how to use ChatGPT to generate code. And even if, you're a German major, right? No math skills, I bet you can still figure out ways to make some good money doing this stuff, especially using these AI tools, right? So you do not have to be a math expert. You do not have to be even a coder to get into this stuff. You can really make quite a bit of money without even any of that kind of stuff, these AI tools are that powerful. And we talk a lot about it in class, right? Really from the very beginning, I'm introducing these AI tools and showing you exactly how to use them to build the code that you want, right? Thanks for that question, Melissa. So Marvis says, based on your experience in bot trading, what are some of the downsides to having a bot trade rather than a human? Downsides of bot trading, I can't really think of too many downsides, to be quite honest with you. One downside is that you have to write the code, right? Which we give to you, right? We'll give you a bunch of code, but there's definitely a bit of a learning curve, right? I'm not going to deny that if you want to build your own algorithm. So maybe that's like the one downside. But to be honest with you, what I trade manually versus trading using an algorithm, hands down, I'm using an algorithm, right? It gives me superpowers, right? It's, I'm better able to trade, depending on the news and everything that happens. I can be much more nimble about things. I don't have to actually lift a finger, right? Almost across the board, algorithms are better. And that's also why you look at these companies that use trading algorithms, like the hedge funds, they're making a lot of money, like Citadel, Renaissance, like these guys are just making a killing. You know what I mean? And that's because, there really is a huge advantage to using computers to do this stuff. So yeah, I think the only real disadvantage is the fact that there is a bit of a learning curve, but that's really what this course is about. And we're going to try to make that as easy for you as possible, right? You go through this course, we'll give you lots of code. We'll show you how to use AI tools, and we'll show you, basically how to get through all this stuff, right? So Melissa asks, what's the personal motivation for you to do this? If you can make so much money with just a few lines of code, why bother teaching it versus just making bank full-time? Well, we've been developing out. So, okay, there's a couple answers to that question, right? First of all, I love teaching this class because I feel like I learn a lot from the students, right? A lot of the algorithms that we've built over the years have been from these conversations I've had with students. There have been a lot of really good trading ideas that have gone around. So not only are you learning, but I'm also learning when I'm going through this class, right? Second of all, right? And this is the same way that, hedge funds make money, right? That you could ask the same question, right? Like, if Warren Buffett is so good with managing money, why doesn't he just manage his and forget everyone else? Well, the truth is that if we can turn this into a hedge fund, right, which is what we are doing, right? We are building out, not really a hedge fund, right? Especially for legal reasons, not a hedge fund. But basically we're able to sell our algorithms. We can make a heck of a lot more money doing this at scale, right? Like if I'm just managing my own money, I can make 100% a year or something like that. That's great, right? But if I'm doing this for someone else, I can make thousands of percent per year, right? Because I'm able to manage other people's money. And in managing other people's money, we're getting paid to do that. And then we can reinvest that money and continue to do even better, right? So that's essentially the answer there, right? A, I'm learning a lot from this class, and B, we want to scale this thing up, right? I don't want to just be investing my own money. We could get rich doing that, sure, but we can get super rich doing investing other people's money as well, right? So that's the answer here. Cool, and it's a good question. Thank you for asking that question, Melissa. Cool. All right. Not to mention, it's also very cool watching people actually build things that like really make a lot of money. I get a kick out of that. Like whenever I see our students like build some really cool stuff and make money, I personally feel very happy about that as well. Cool. Okay. Marvis asks, for the crypto market, have you worked on algorithms involving flash crashes? Currently focusing on this area. I have not personally worked on flash crashes. Maybe you're asking about this because of what happened. Was it this morning or yesterday? That there's a couple of stocks that like dropped like 10% in a matter of seconds and then popped right back up again. Probably would have been a good opportunity to make money. If you want to build something like that for flash crashes, I mean, there's ways they could do that. You could look at things like RSI or MACD, and you can basically see if there's been like really big movements. This to me sounds a lot like a mean reversion algorithm, right? In a mean reversion algorithm, you'll look at specific technical signals, and if it drops, you're going to buy, and then if it goes up, you're going to sell. So you're basically doing this buy sell thing the whole way through. The idea is that there's a mean, there's an average going through the middle, and you're just making money when it moves around the average, right? And I would think that if you use that same sort of technique, you could probably make money on flash crashes as well, because it's the same sort of thing, right? It's a reversion to the mean. If there's this giant crash that just happened, chances are you're probably going to come back from it, right? So I would think you could probably use a mean reversion strategy for that. And we actually have code for that if you'd like to see how to build a mean reversion algorithm, right? They can be quite profitable, right? Mean reversion algorithms can be very, very profitable, especially if you have a broker that has low trading fees. You can like really make a lot of money doing this stuff. It's a very cool thing to do. Cool. Thanks for that question, Marvis. If you want, we could also jump on a call and we could discuss specifically what you're working on. I'm always interested in hearing, what people are building. Like I said, this is my fascination, right? Like I feel like I learn from other people just as much as people learn from myself. So I'd be happy to jump on a call if you want to do that. All right, cool. Any other questions? Right, you guys have had some good ones today. I like this. You guys are a very active group. It sounds like you guys are onto some cool stuff. I hope to see you guys in the full class. It'd be pretty cool to see you guys there. Cool, Marvis, you set LinkedIn request. Cool. If I remember, I'll do that. My LinkedIn is a little crazy. I don't tend to answer. So if you message me on LinkedIn and I don't respond to you, please don't be offended, because I turn off all my notifications because I get so much spam on LinkedIn that it's not worth it for me to answer messages there. But if you do want to contact me, let me put up my email, rob@lumiwealth.com, right? And you guys can also join our Discord chat, right? Which I put up the link earlier, but let me put it up again. I'm very active on Discord, so if you want to ask any questions, that's probably the fastest way to reach me. So here's that Discord link. What's going on here? There we go. Melissa asks, we want to be green impact investors. Do you have opinions about things like Ecosia and Aspiration Bank? I do not know what either one of those things are. I'm assuming they're green companies. See, Ecosia, search engine that plants trees. That's kind of cool. Okay, so like eco type stuff. I think this is very cool. I think this is a good thing to be involved in. I mean, not only is it something that benefits the environment, which I believe is a good thing to do, but also I've heard that you can potentially make even more money doing green investing because it kind of the good things that the companies do, they tend to come back around to them, right? There's actually, if you want to do green investing, we could actually help you build out like a stock screener that does this. There are different APIs on the internet that you can connect to get like ESG ratings for companies. Like Yahoo Finance has this, and you can make algorithms that specifically only invest in those companies if you want, right? And I could actually show you how to do that. That's actually fairly easy to do that sort of thing, right? So if you're interested, let me know. We can definitely go down that road. I think it's very interesting, and I appreciate people like yourself that try to save this world from turning into one giant trash can. I think a Texas-sized island of trash inside the Pacific Ocean is a little concerning. Not gonna lie, Yeah, cool. Yeah, no problem, Melissa. Cool. Awesome. All right. Any other questions, guys? And again, if you have questions in the future, feel free to message me on Discord or shoot me an email. I respond to pretty much everyone that messages me. So if you do come up with a question afterwards, feel free to do that. Right. And actually, let me, if you guys want, you could also book a call with me. I'm going to share my link to book a call if that's what you want to do. Yeah, Melissa says every ocean has a trash gyre. Is that what it is? Gyre? That's how you call it. I believe it. Basically the currents will make that sort of thing happen, right? This sounds gross to me. Like I really feel like we need to do something to clean up this earth because if we keep going like this for another 100 years, we're going to be living on top of trash piles. So definitely agree with you there. Cool. All right. So I guess that's it. I'm not seeing any more questions pop up. Thank you very much for being a part of this, guys. It's been a pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation with you guys. Not only you guys are saying you got stuff from this, I also got stuff from this too. It was a pleasure having you guys around, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the class. Our class starts in 3 or 4 weeks. Registration closes in 3 weeks. So hopefully I see you guys in our next class, and hopefully we can build some really cool algorithms together and make a lot of money. Let's do it. Cool. All right. Well, again, thank you very much, and I hope you have a good night, guys.